Welcome to our first webinar with all three of us on it. What a treat.
Yes.
Saying. We've had fun putting this together and talking about how we can really serve our authors in the Book Marketing Pro Academy. And so today we're going to start this webinar by talking about our marketing copy package. So at Redemption Press, every author receives this important piece of marketing materials. And it's funny because I had a call with an author yesterday and she's like, is that really important for me? And the answer is yes, it is very important. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first, if you don't know the people on the screen, which you all should, but if you don't, Sara Cormany is up in the corner, and she is one of our presenters and teachers and coaches. And then Shelly Brown is there as well, and then myself. So we're going to present today why a marketing copy package is so important and what is actually in the marketing copy package. Now, you may have a question. Does anyone remember what the question is, Sara or Shelly? Because what if,
number one, I don't have it yet, or number two, I'm not a Redemption Press author, and so I don't even know what this is all about?
That is a great question, and two questions actually. So here is the answer. If you are a Redemption Press author and you have not yet received your marketing copy package, it's because you're not in the right stage of the process. So typically your book needs to be complete in the manuscript, fully written, and it usually is done during the copyright stage. So after your line edit and all your content has been edited, during the copyright stage, the editor receives your manuscript, and while the line edit is happening, then you will get your marketing copy package. If you are not a Redemption Press author, you need a marketing copy package. Unfortunately, we cannot do that for you, but you can take all of the elements that we have talked about today and you can create your own. So it takes a lot of work and really good marketing kind of discussion or conversation, and we can always help you with it in BMA. We're happy to help you kind of formulate that, and that's what this community is all about. But it is something that you would have to really start leveraging on your own. So we are going to talk today about all of the items that are in your marketing copy package. Now, I forgot one thing. Sorry, I promise I'm not going to do all the talking. We're going to let Sara take it. What we have done for all of our authors is we have created a basic outline training of every single piece of the marketing copy package, or MCP for short. And when your MCP is delivered to you, you are going to get this training, and it's videos. There's a PDF to help you take notes, and it gives you all the things. But really, to leverage that, you need to have BMA, because if you're not in the academy, you're going to hear all these things that you have to do and not really know how to necessarily do them all. And so BMA members will be able to really look at all the trainings that we have and have us support you through that. If you've already published a book and you're like, well, I had a marketing copy package, but I didn't know it was that important, so I didn't even keep it. Yeah. Sara is going to be the person that's going to make sure that you have your marketing copy package, and she's going to be reaching out to some of our authors so they all recognize the gift that they have in this product. So let's begin with what is in our marketing copy package.
Well, the first element is one that I think probably everybody is familiar with, and that is the back cover copy. This is the section you find on the back of the book, even when you're jaunting through Barnes & Noble and you pick something up, and that's what a reader or a potential buyer is going to look at first. The content itself is really the story hook, and it's also the heart of the message of the book as well. It brings that together in a way that not only informs the buyer, but also it connects with the buyer's heart. And there's 3 reasons why that matters to you as an author. It answers the question of what is this book is about? What is this book is about? Is that the correct question? What is this book about? See, you're going to go back and say, maybe, Carol, we really did want you to do all of the talking. So this, the second question there is, why is that significant? What does that solve for the reader or for the buyer? And last but not least, what will the reader gain and take away from? And you hope what they take away from it is, I'm going to take out my debit card and walk up to that cash register and buy your book. It's a valuable piece that you can use in various forms, but the way it is intended to be used just by name only also serves a really good function as well. Now, there are other ways that you can use that to further your message and really strengthen your marketing. And the first way is you can add it to your website's book page. Always, again, great real estate to put that in there. It's content you don't have to create again. And I know for me, as somebody who's been traditionally published as well as published under the Redemption Press imprint, it's been a great way to update my website really quickly, but I don't have to think about it. So that's another way you can use your back copy. You can also use it in interviews, whether that's a radio interview or a podcast interview. A lot of times they'll ask for a summary for the book. So you may use it on the prep side, or you may even use it as you're answering certain questions in those interviews as well. And the final way I'll cover with how to use that back cover copy is to use it as the core of your launch, where you take that book and put it into the hands of the readers for the first time. It keeps your message centrally located and anchored. So that's really, really important. An example might be, let's say your book is a devotional for single mamas. Your back cover copy might open with something like, are you exhausted from carrying that weight alone? The first line speaks to, again, the heart. What is the heart? The heart for single mamas is that they're alone and they don't have a partner, at least a physical partner, in which to carry that burden with. But the partner that they do have is God. And they have Jesus, and they have the Holy Spirit, and they have the best partner possible. But sometimes it's hard when you're in the doing to remember to lean into the heart of a father who walks with them every step of the way. So along those veins, I don't know a whole lot. And so that was about as much as I know and can communicate. So Carol, what are some ways that you have seen authors use that back cover copy, not only to hook that buyer in, but really communicate the heart or the message of the book?
Yeah, the back cover copy is so important. And Sarah, you did a great job just really giving those basic ideas of how you use it. Because I think so often we don't leverage that small little piece of real estate that we get, especially when done well by someone who has a marketing mind and really answers all of those questions that need to be answered within that content. I think that it would be a great place, and I've seen authors use it for a video trailer for their book. So you can speak it, just even speak it into your video software on your phone, your camera, or use a voiceover and speak out that content and then put it in a video format and just, have some pretty pictures playing. You can do it with yourself reading parts of it. That makes an amazing asset for your book to be able for people that are more auditory to hear it spoken to them. You can also use it when you're introduced to speak and or when I don't remember anyone doing this, but using it when the the person that you're speaking for, so the host of the group, is going to talk about the books at your book table, give them a copy of it, give them a couple sentences from it, and allow them to explain what your book is about, because most likely they may have not read all the books on your table. And so for you to be able to have that piece of information for them will help them sound like they know what they're doing.
That's good.
That's always a good thing. You always want to sound like you know what you're doing. And I'll just piggyback off of that, one of, I think, the greatest hindrances to people jumping on video or creating reels is you're like, I don't know what to say. Mm-hmm. And is what I'm going to say off the cuff going to hit that marketing point? If you use, again, your back cover copy, the work is already done, and all you have to do is give it kind of wings to fly. So it can really reduce that anxiety as well, which leads us to another piece of, or section of, our marketing copy package that I think you can use literally all over the place, and that is the author bio. Your brief intro into the world can sometimes feel a little daunting, because how do you put who you are and what you're about into just a short word count? But I think anytime we're asked to kind of shrink that down, it actually strengthens the core of what it communicates. And if it stems and it flows from that message of your back cover copy, it gives you such a valuable tool that you literally, like I said, you can use it everywhere. Mm. Why does it matter? Why does it matter that people know who you are and have information about who you are? It's because it gives you credibility. And I think sometimes I've had authors just kind of discount and poo-poo that that's not important, and it feels like bragging, but it's really establishing the reason why your buyer should read your book, why they should listen to what you say. The example that I just gave, if I was to write that book, I wouldn't have credibility because I'm not a single mom, but a mom writing that book who is a single mama, that would be an important detail in which to cover in her bio, because it automatically says, I, as the reader, can trust that what she is saying is true and grounded in an experience. There are some ways that you can use it aside from just either the back of your book or as a marketing copy package element. You can use it in the about section of your website. You can, every podcast, every interview request, everything is going to ask you for a bio. You already have it. And a lot of times people are like, well, they're asking for a 100-word bio and my bio is 200 words. At least you have a place to start and you can shrink it down. So use that well. I already kind of gave you an example, but let's just bring it home just a little bit with another one. Let's say I am trying to connect to my heart. My heart is for women who have been through chronic illness or who have walked through hard things physically, because again, just like the point that I was making before, that is where I have experience. So maybe an example for my bio might be, Sara is a chronic illness fighter who helps women walk with hope in hard places. It establishes, number one, my credibility, and then it also establishes what I offer my buyer and reader right off the bat. And you're going to want to do that succinctly and effectively. So my next question is for the lovely Miss Shelly Brown. And doesn't she look beautiful today? We were remarking on that. So the beautiful Shelly Brown, what is one fun or personal detail that you have seen someone use in a bio that worked really effectively?
Yeah. So what you just described establishes the credibility, which is super important, right? And hopefully we'll just go right to the heart. But I love when I see authors include something that's a little more unexpected in addition to, so you have to have the element that you just spoke about, but in addition to that, something that's relatable and fun, like she makes a mean banana bread, just something fun into it that brings, or she has 16 grandchildren that live 3 doors down, in the same, not, that would be a big house if they lived 3 doors down, all of them, 16, but just something very personal that draws them in and makes them relatable. And it'll be like, people be like, I want to hear more from her because she is so relatable. And so, yeah, when they bring something personal into it, I think it's an important piece.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Carol.
That's okay. Can I just add, like, with your,
Yeah.
those are really good ideas. And I do love fun things in bios because it makes you like a person. But so often when I see authors or speakers bios, it has like this huge list of accolades. And, oftentimes what you want to do is not list every single thing you've ever done, but what have you done that would be important for this particular group?
Right.
So, for example, if my bio probably on the back of my book does not say this, but it's something I could add. So use your bio on the back of the book as the starting point, and then choose what you need to add for your particular audience. So if I'm going to go speak to a retreat, if I'm pitching to speak for a retreat, I would probably put for women, I would probably put in my bio that I was a women's ministry director for 8 years, because that gives me credibility. Where if I'm going to go speak at a writer's workshop, I will probably leverage more of my writing experience, my marketing experience, my relationship with Redemption Press and what I do there. So think about your audience, just like we always talk about. If we don't hit
that's
the
so good.
our audience has that's reading the bio, they're not going to care what we do or how many awards we have. They want to know how we can relate to their women, just like both Sara and Shelly said, as we have that statement that speaks to their audience.
Absolutely. We have to kind of slip into the skin of the person it's meant to reach and meant to communicate credibility and all of the things that we want for them to gain. I mean, it's, and yes. I mean,
credibility and relevance.
Yeah.
So make sure it's relevant and credible, and then slip in some of that fun thing that makes you relatable, right?
Personal,
Yeah.
because I think we as a society are moving farther and farther away from that, like, oh, let's give a CV in the bio, and more to that level of authenticity. They want to know who we are as people, and they want to believe that we are real people, not like, because we all know that everybody's real. And so even sometimes when we put all those accolades into a bio, that can communicate, so what aren't you telling me? And I think it's something that's important that we have to think of, even in this small little piece of our marketing copy. So
it also gives you really good things, because like my bio says that I have that I love all things yellow, that I love super sweet iced coffee, I love shopping. So I almost, when I speak, get something yellow from the people that have asked me to come speak to them. Sometimes they have an iced coffee waiting for me. Like it kind of tells a little bit about you. And then they, when I had people come, when I was women's ministry director, to come and, speak to my group, I wanted to serve them so well because I was so appreciative of the time they were giving and the message they would share. And so to read their bio and be like, oh, she loves elephants, and find a cute little elephant stationery or whatever to give to her, or a card for their thank you card. Just those little touches really do matter.
And it also connects to your branding.
Yes.
So you're even advertising on some level your branding as well. And I think that's what we do very well at Redemption Press, is I think looking at the whole package and knowing how all those pieces work together is so incredibly valuable. Okay, so apparently I have a frog in my throat, and I'm going to speak through it. Fortunately, my section is almost finished, so you won't have to listen to it for long. But the third little piece of the marketing copy package that I'm going to be talking about is the short website description that is included. A lot of times people can look at that and they're like, well, we have the back cover copy. Why do we need another description of the book? And we use it functionally at Redemption Press for the Redemption Press website. We add it to the I don't know, I'm looking for a word. We add it to LSI, which is where we upload our books for print there. That sort of works because we need a short description that's going to be broadcast to all the different channels that your book is going to go to. That that back cover copy is just too long. And so we have to have a shortened description, and that's how we use it on our end. But there are other ways that you can use it personally and in ways that are important to you aside from how we use it on our end. It really keys into specific words when people do search results as well, or actually when people do searches, the goal is also to kind of pick up on those keywords, which Shelly will talk about a little bit later. But ways that you can use that short website description on your end of things is you can copy it and paste it to your author website, newsletters, any place that you need short copy, but you want to advertise your book. This is gold. You also can use it in speaker kits, in any type of print advertisement, online advertisement. Whenever you're looking for just a little bit shorter of copy, this is your go-to. Think of it almost like your book's elevator pitch. It's short, punchy, and persuasive. And so anytime you're looking for book copy that's short, punchy, and persuasive, this piece of your MCP is just for you. So Carol, this is my final question that I get to ask. What's one place authors might not think to use their book description, but totally should, apart from what we've already talked about?
That's a great question. I think a couple places, one on social media, because it's short enough that you can put in your actual post and have it there for people to know what your book is about. You can use it even in graphics because you can put a couple sentences and do a carousel. I would send it to, if for some reason, like Janet McHenry, she's so gracious and she always promotes different authors in her monthly newsletter. And that would be something that I would send her when she promotes my book, because it's not so long that it's going to overwhelm her newsletter, but it does give her readers a little snippet into what my book is about. So it's a great one to share anytime someone else is going to share about your book.
Excellent. Excellent. And I think that concludes my section of this performance, and I will hand it off to the lovely Miss Shelly.
All right. Well done, Sara. Well done. So the next section of your MCP, it covers pull quotes, SEO and keywords, and hashtags. So we're just going to go through these pretty quickly, I think. But the pull quotes. So what are the pull quotes? These are short, powerful lines that are pulled directly from your manuscript. It's little truth nuggets, kind of the sticky statements that just pack a punch, hopefully would pack a punch. So why does it matter? Well, they're shareable, easily shareable, visual, and they can spark emotion or insight in just seconds. And one thing about pull quotes, or another thing about pull quotes, is they're not salesy, right? It's the authentic, genuine excerpt, quote from your book that can really make a big difference. I'm going to give you a real quick example of how powerful it can be. I had a friend, a Facebook friend, who posted a quote from a book. She was reading the book. It's called In the Hands of a Fiercely Tender God. And she had just posted it. It had impacted her that morning. And it had impacted her. And when I read it, there was nothing salesy about it. It was just the quote, and the title of the book was there. And when I read it that morning, it came through my news feed, my heart needed that so bad. And I was like, whoa. And so I immediately went and looked up that book, and I bought a copy. I read the book, and I have since bought multiple copies and have given them away as gifts. And I've shared this story with other people who have almost immediately, or when we've hung up, they have purchased a copy of the book. And I can't tell you how many copies have been purchased because one person put a pull quote from that book that impacted them. Just, again, not salesy, not, hey, buy my book. It's not that. It's not about that. It's something that really is impactful, and you never know what will come out of using those pull quotes. So they're super important, and choosing the right ones are super important as well. So, all right, let me see. So here's an example of one. If your book says freedom is found in surrender, that's a quote that you can use to stop the scroll. See that, and that's just a short phrase, a statement. It can be a little bit longer than that, a couple of sentences, but you don't want it very long. But that's just an example of what a pull quote could be. So, Carol, question for you. What is one, apart from the example that I just gave, the real life example there, what is one creative way that you've seen an author repurpose a pull quote?
Just one?
I'm just you only have a couple minutes.
I just want to attest to what Shelly said, because I am one of those authors that bought that book when Shelly told me about it, or one of the consumers that bought it for different friends of mine. And I buy it when anyone's going through a hard time. Like, I'm like, this is the go-to. So thank you for sharing that, Shelly. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple things you can do with your pull quotes. And one of them is maybe create some little cards that you can hand out at events, or even have a little like pull quote gift pack. Shelly makes these beautiful scripture cards. You could do that with your pull quotes and have that for sale at events on your table, or give them as gifts to maybe the event planners, or to, as drawings. Have it be a lead magnet kind of to your book, even at your table. So buy my book and you get a pack of these cards for free. They can be the first sentence of a devotional that you're going to share, so you could go deeper into that particular topic. And the one thing that I'd like to encourage you is, we do give you pull quotes on your back cover or on your MCP, but as you hear people telling you what stands out to them, add that to your list. Mm-hmm. Because when people do my Bible study, all of a sudden I see like quotes that I didn't even know that I said those things, right? Mm-hmm. And so it must have impacted them, or they wouldn't have made a meme out of it. So capture those. And then I've also had the privilege of doing my study live, and it's so interesting to sit with a group of people who are engaged in the words that you've written, and they're like, this really stood out to me, and they'll just tell you. So ask your friends, like, what in my book is standing out to you? And those are the things that you capture.
Mm-hmm. So good.
Yeah. Were you going to say something, Sarah? You want to add anything to that?
I was just going to add really quickly to that. I think this is the one piece that really serves your reader, your buyer. And sometimes we talk a lot about this in BMA and across Redemption Press, that's really, it's not that we're just marketing and selling a book. We're also serving in order to bring new readers and new buyers in. And the pull quotes are a perfect way to do that.
Yeah, they really are. It's so powerful. All right, let's move on to the next section, the SEO elements and Amazon keywords. So search phrases, what are SEO elements and the keywords? So they're search phrases that people use to find books like yours. These keywords are baked into your Amazon description and provided separately so that you can reuse them. So why do keywords matter? Well, if you want your book to be found, you need to speak your reader's search language, right? Think about how they're searching for things. You can actually go onto Google and you can type in a few words and see, it automatically populates. So it's kind of an old school way of seeing, well, how are people searching? So you can do it that way. There's also a lot of tools out there of SEO so that you're able to use the right words. But on the MCP, we've done a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So they're already on your MCP. And super important that you use them, particularly on your website, for your blog, And then, of course, for Amazon, they search a little differently on Amazon, and you can use the same old school way. Type in some words, and if it automatically populates, you know that that's how people are searching. That's their search behavior. Okay. So how do you use them? Well, I already alluded to it some, but plug them into your blog titles, your podcast descriptions, your website copy. Use them as hashtags or themes for reels or posts. You can create a Pinterest title or pin title with a keyword like devotionals for moms in transitions. So here's an example. Instead of saying Christian book, try a longer tail keyword like devotional for women grieving a miscarriage, right? So that's specific and that's searchable. All right. So here's a question, Sarah. You ready?
I think.
All right. So what's one practical way that an author could use their keywords in their everyday marketing?
So I'm going to key in a little bit to something you already mentioned. You mentioned blogs. And you mentioned specifically the titles and making sure that those SEO terms, using those in titles, but also making sure that your blogs have the text, have those terms in there as well. And even using those keywords as content guides. Like, I'm going to do a month-long focus on miscarriage, using the example that you gave, and making sure that every blog, every microblog, every marketing copy piece, that is consistent across the board. And that'll really give you focus and traction in using those terms well.
All right. Great advice. All right. Let's move on to hashtags. So what are what are they? Well, hashtags, they group your content with other posts on the same topic. All right. So, and this is why it matters. They increase your visibility and help people who don't follow you to discover your content. So how do you use them? Well, you use 3 to 7 on your Instagram or your Facebook posts, and you add them to your reels, to your stories, to your graphics, to your text posts. Create a branded hashtag for your book, like hashtag your book title. So here's an example. If you've written a children's book, hashtag kid lit, L-I-T, or children's book, hashtag children's book, hashtag children's picture book, right? And then here's some others. Hashtag read aloud revival. These are great community hashtags. And there are actually apps on your cell phone that you can pull up that will give you what the trending hashtags are, that you can download and just check to see what's trending. And so there are tools out there, so you don't have to go blindly with it. So here's a recommendation I would like to throw out at you. I almost always will recommend Christian author, hashtag Christian author. It's simple, it's broad to reach new audiences, it's still super relevant. And another one is you can do hashtag kingdom writers, or kingdom writer, hashtag kingdom writer, which is more niche, but it has a beautiful sense of community. And then, of course, as I just mentioned, creating your own hashtag your book title, can really help build that momentum when readers start to use it. And I mean, Carol, she uses it for her word of the year. Every post she does, she uses hashtag. I think your word of the year this year is found. Yes, hashtag.
Because it helps you remember it.
Yeah, hashtag.
Anytime I post about my grandkiddos, I post hashtag grandkiddos are the best. I post hashtag unleashing the power of praise when I do Ezra, anything posting for my Bible study, which is like never, because I'm horrible at marketing it, but you know, that's life.
Do as we say, not as we do. Okay.
Amen. Amen.
All right. Well, Carol, take us home now.
All right, so I'm going to talk about the last 3 items on the MCP marketing copy package. And the first one is your press release, or actually it's number 7. And the press release is basically a professionally written article announcing your book to the world. It's ready to send to media, podcasts, and more. And it matters because it gives you credibility and it makes it easier to pitch your book to outlets who don't know you yet. And Sarah, when we were talking about this before we started, you said some very specific things. Can you remember that and tell us what you said about the press release?
Well, I sure hope I can remember it. It's always up for concern, but I think I do. So news releases, before I jumped into Redemption Press, being a project manager, I had no idea what they even did. But something that I have heard over the course of the last almost 4 years over and over again is that a good news release is not going to be cutesy. It's not going to be emotionally driven. It's going to be clear and to the point. So especially if you're creating your own news release, just the facts, what you need the outlet to know that's important to your book. So just like the back cover copy was really pinpointing the heart of the message, this is just focusing on the message, who it's directed to, and how to get in touch with the person sending the message. Did I do okay, Carol?
Yeah. And you know what? It's really good that you mentioned it the way that you did, because the press release isn't to tell the people all about you. It's to lead people to you or to your book. So if your press release gets picked up by the Christian Newswire and gets placed on their weekly or daily, whatever it is that they do, Shelly knows more about that than I do because she does our press release, a lot of our press releases, but that avenue will then lead them to you. So you'd have, the connection to your book, to your website, to all those things.
Can I just add something too with the press release? Yes to everything that Sara said, but also it can address the pain points. So what's in it for them, right? Because as Carol just said, it leads them to you. It doesn't give you all the things, but it does give you, even in a bulleted form, and I'll use that quite frequently, of what they will get out of this particular book. And then it leads them to the book, to the author. And we actually had one of our authors, our newswire that we use, it was picked up by an online book. It wasn't BookBub, but it was something similar to that. And it was picked up with them. They featured the press release, and she literally got thousands and thousands of downloads as a result. So you just never know who's going to pick it up and what it'll do. But and hers was a fiction novel that was picked up. So
you just hope for a really slow news day so that they need things to put out there. Because if like a tornado happens and all the things, then you're going to have luck. So that's how that works. So you can use it in several ways. You can email it to your podcast hosts or blog editors. You can do print copies for your book signings or events so that the venues that you have can use it. You can, again, post it to your website. It really does make you sound like more professional and like a real author when you have an official press release. So imagine like reaching out to a local radio show and say to them, I'd love to be a guest, and I've attached my press release with more information. It just sounds very, like credible for who you are. So Sara, when you see a strong press release, what elements make it stand out?
Well, I think going back to what I said about just being clear and succinct, and let me key into what Shelly said about the takeaway. Those bulleted points for any radio, podcast, any type of outlet, what it does for them is it says, this is what I provide for your audience. It's not about our audience. It's about the audience that you're serving. So whether that's a news outlet, a radio show, a podcast, they know exactly right off the bat, can look at it clearly and quickly and identify, this is something that I want to put in front of my reader, my buyer, my audience.
That's really good. Right.
And I know, Shelly, when you create press releases while they're in a launch period on Amazon, you even use reviews. And so using what other people are saying about your book also gives you credibility.
Yep.
Right. That and using with the title of the book without interspersed with throughout the press release, and linking from that to where you want them to purchase the book. So every time the title is mentioned, I will link it to the title, or excuse me, to where they're gonna. Typically, it's Amazon, so that they can purchase the book.
Yeah, so good. So the last piece of your marketing copy package is number 8, and it is the suggested interview questions. So in your MCP, you will get 5 to 7, maybe even 10 interview questions that are about your book and your journey. And when you are trying to get a podcast, get some type of an interview on radio or TV, if you are on a panel discussion at an event, these questions will really come in handy, and it helps your podcaster that's doing the interview with you just really have confidence that your interview is going to be really well done. I know from experience, when I've done podcasts and they didn't really have a format, I always send them the questions. I'm like, here's some questions to ask me. I don't like a lot of surprises. And so they're always like, thank you so much. This is great. I'm like, how can you do a podcast without questions? But okay. So it really does show that you are prepared, that you're ready to discuss those matters. But again, just like your bio, use it as a starting point. So a lot of the questions that are given are more generic over the overarching theme of your book. So then if you're speaking to a podcast that is reaching single women, then pull out something within your book that could encourage them and ask those questions. So making sure that you aren't just giving a generic one, that you really do cater some questions right directly to the audience that particular interview is going to reach. So again, send them to podcast or summit host, use prompts for Instagram. You can use them on your own feed as like ask the question and then write a blog about it or write a post about it. You can practice answering them so that you are confident. I just got asked to be on a panel for a conference that I'm going to, and I'm usually on it every year, but as I get that invitation, I come up with 3 very strategic questions and I practice. I want to, first of all, let the conference host know that I'm prepared and that I am worthy of the few minutes that I get on that platform, but also it really does show credibility when you can answer without stumbling over your answers like I'm doing right now. So, so make sure that you practice those answers, have them written out. I went into my MCP and took every question and I actually wrote out every answer. And then as you're looking at it, you can then adjust as the podcaster, asks those questions, or your interviewee. And always, and my thought just left me, something about podcasting and questions. I don't know, but Shelly, have you ever had a moment when a single interview question, I'll let you go first, like a single interview question really did unlock something? Because you do interviews all the time with your, with our authors. So how does that work?
Yeah, I was thinking about this earlier. I had interviewed one of our authors, Georgia Morris. She wrote Unfailing Love. I think that was the title. And I had asked her a question, something like, what was it like to trust God with the parts of your story that you had been hiding, right? It was something along those lines. And that question really was a turning point in our conversation, because she had an invitation really to be vulnerable and to be real, in that moment. And so, and when you go to those places, and not that every, interview is going to be like a real heart, like let's get to the heart of the matter type, but there are a lot that are. And, but people relate to pain because everybody's experienced pain. So just by posing a question like that, it just invited her into just being vulnerable. And I think it was just a real shift in the interview to be just a very relatable experience, because it wasn't about her experience anymore necessarily, and recounting an experience. It was talking more about her heart, and so it was pretty powerful.
Yeah. So good. So as we think about the marketing copy package, I know several of you are watching live with us. I want you to put in the chat what is one piece of your marketing copy package, whether you have one created by us or you are thinking of doing your own, that you are excited to start using and you think you could even use it in the next week to really help you leverage your platform. Now, as we close, I want you to think of your marketing copy package as not just something to file away, but it's actually a ready to use marketing tool. And you don't have to allow it to be stagnant. You can go in, you can change things, you can add things. If you have more than one book, you can put them on the same marketing copy package and combine them. You can add headshots, you can add photos of you speaking, you can add speaking topics to it. You can take it as far as you want to go and then use that and send it to the people that you are trying to reach out to with the message of your book. So anything else from my amazing friends that are here helping me teach today?
Well, I don't know about amazing, but hopefully coherent. As you were talking, I thought about just a lot of times I go back to the marketing material from previous books that I've been a part of. And then I use that as a jumping off point for my next book project, because the time to start marketing is now when it comes to things that we have down the line. So that's another way that you can use this is once you start getting other book ideas and you're fleshing those out, really creating those pieces are going to give you a marketing mindset even before the book has even been accepted or started editing. So I think that's another thing that I've learned in my own journey that I think can be helpful as well.
So good. Anything from you, Shelly?
Now, I would just encourage you use it, because I think so many have just filed it away and maybe it just seemed overwhelming to you. Like, how do I even make, sense of this? But I hope this breaking it down like this for you has given you some better insight of that. This is an actual actionable document that you can use, and don't try to do it all at once. Just take a piece at a time, so you're not overwhelmed. But the important thing is take action.
So good. Well, thank you for joining us. Remember that we will, number one, send you the marketing copy package training in the extensive marketing copy package if you are a Redemption Press author, so that you have those tools. So there's probably a 10 to 15 minute training for each element that's in there. And then we will also continue to talk about our marketing copy package in the next few weeks and how we can leverage it and how we can take things like a couple people are writing in the chat about hashtags. How do we really leverage the hashtags in our MCP and create new ones for the projects that we currently have, and how do they actually work? And so we'll kind of dive into that, since that's a question that many of you have. So thank you so much for being part of our marketing copy package training today, and we will see you next time, which is coaching tomorrow.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.